Okay, welcome back to my travel diary series. I know it's been a beat since my previous video. I've been trying to get these videos out a little bit more, but honestly, I've been so tired with work. It's just been really exhausting recently to just try and get these videos out. And I want to do better with editing these as well, even though I'm kind of just doing the best I can with the footage I took while we were away. But this portion of the trip was really important to me because we went on a bit of a 3 or 4 day kind of road trip across a few different prefectures before ending up in Fukui. And it was such an amazing time, and it made me realize like how lucky I am to be able to do some of the things that we got to do in Japan on this particular portion of our trip. It's really incredible, and I'm really looking forward to showing you all. Anyways, let's just jump into it. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you day 1 of the road trip, and the start of our journey began in the Hyogo Prefecture. And I believe the island that we drive through on this particular day of our road trip is called Awaji Island in the Hyogo Prefecture. So our first stop on this particular day of our little road trip was at this nearby rest stop, and it was pretty much just to grab a quick bite to eat and have a little bit of a look around. Now the outside was actually really nice. It was kind of like on the seaside, so there's a really amazing view. Now they also had this massive Ferris wheel, as you could see at the start of this little clip. It was really big. We didn't go on it. I don't even know if it was running on that particular day, but anyway, basically the point for stopping off at this little rest stop here was pretty much just to get a quick bite to eat. Now, I've mentioned this before in my other videos, but I absolutely love these little rest stops on the side of these freeways in Japan. They're so small, and they have like these, really nice looking gift stores, and the food is just so good. I mean, it's just kind of like fast food, but super cheap, and the taste is just so good. We usually just get a few different meals and then just kind of share them. So after we had a quick bite to eat, we got back in the car and headed to our next stop of the day. Now, I should actually quickly mention that a few of the stops on this particular day were a bit of a surprise to me. I knew a couple of the things that we were doing, but not everything, which I personally really like because I always like being surprised. So this second stop is actually something I've always wanted to do. So I've been learning the Japanese language for a little while now, and one thing, like a word that came up a lot when studying Japanese was hanami, which means flower viewing. And it's kind of always been an interesting word that stuck in my head just because flower viewing is not really a typical phrase you would use in English, and it's pretty popular in Japan, and I've seen a lot of flower gardens before, and so I've always been interested in like going to a flower garden and just checking them out because, again, just not really something that I've ever done. And this place was absolutely incredible. So this place is the Hyogo Prefecture Awaji Hanasajiki, or the Awaji Flower Garden. Now, the flowers here were really beautiful. There was so many different colors, and the weather was just so amazing as well. It was really sunny, and just couldn't have asked for better weather on this particular day. It was so good. To be honest, this alone was well worth the drive out here. Now, I don't actually know what it would be like to try and take public transport out here. I, to be honest, didn't really see any, but I would imagine there would be maybe a bus or two that run through here. But I would definitely recommend looking into it because it was really amazing. Now, the one thing that really made our day coming here was this couple that were walking their 4 dogs. So they had 3 corgis. One of them was a bit older, so it was just sitting in this little trolley, and the other 2 were just so young and energetic. They were just the cutest things. And the 4th dog was kind of like a shepherd. I'm not too sure of the exact breed, but he was really nervous and didn't really want anybody to pat him.
Oh, you're like a good pet, hey?
暑いね、暑いね。
Oh,
嬉しいね、
what?
嬉しいね。よかったよかったよ。嬉しいの。よか
What?
ったね、よかったね。ありがとう。手いっぱいですけどすいません。大丈夫ですか？ごめんなさい。かわいい。かわいい。気持ちいい。
Oh, you're so cute.
Personally, I always feel a little bit awkward about wanting to pat other people's dogs. I definitely don't just go up to other people's dogs and pat them. That's not the type of person I am, but these people were really nice and the corgis were super cute. They actually came up to us and they were happy for us to have a pat. Personally, I really like dogs. I don't have one, but I absolutely love them. So whenever I see one, I really want to just give it a big pat. So after we finished looking around at the flower garden, we got back in the car and we headed to our next planned stop of the day. So this was actually one of the ones I did know about, and it's actually one that I was really looking forward to as well. So when driving through Awaji Island in the Hyogo Prefecture, on the other side there's this big bridge that connects to Tokushima Prefecture. And under this bridge here there's these really big whirlpools that form. They're called the Naruto Whirlpools. And you can actually take these boats out to get a nice up-close view of these whirlpools, and that's actually something that we had planned to do today. Now, it was really incredible. Even though on this particular day that we went, it wasn't one of the more optimal days to see the whirlpools when they're at their biggest, but it was still really cool. It's definitely a very new experience for me. Now, if you do want to come and see the Naruto Whirlpools, which are like a world-famous site, I would recommend checking the link in the description below. I will have a link that is where you can actually book tickets to go on the boats to go up close and see these, and they actually have a list of days where it's best to actually go and see them if you want to see them when they're at their biggest. I highly recommend it. Even on this day when they weren't really all that big, it was still absolutely incredible. The one thing I will say though, if you film outside on the boat, just be ready to have to clean your phone or your camera. You will get plenty of seawater on it. Mine was pretty much covered in salt, which was really fun. I had to clean my camera lens quite a bit. After checking out the Naruto Whirlpools, we came back into the little store that was there where we actually got on the boat to just pick up a few supplies before we headed to our hotel for the night. Now, the hotel that we were staying at on this particular day was one of those experiences that I mentioned where I'm very lucky that I got the chance in order to do so. So to explain a little bit about that, there's this hotel chain in Japan called the XIV, or XIV is what they call it. Now, this hotel chain is kind of exclusive. So you can't actually book a stay at the XIV hotels unless you have a membership, or if you know someone that has a membership, they can actually allow you to use it so you can still book a stay and, you know, spend the night at the XIV. The stays themselves, when you have a membership, are quite cheap, but the memberships themselves are actually limited. I did speak about this in my first travel diary series that I uploaded, where we stayed at another XIV hotel in Toba. Now, this XIV hotel is actually a Grand XIV villa in the Tokushima Prefecture. It's the Grand XIV in Naruto. This place was absolutely incredible. There was multiple buildings and they were all on these hilltops. It was like something out of a fairy tale. Now, as I said, you do need a membership if you want to book a stay here, and that's where it's difficult. So essentially, if you wanted to buy a membership, because they're so limited and they get bought up so quickly, you actually have to buy them privately. So they're kind of seen more as an investment, because to buy one of these memberships privately would probably cost you about 200 to 250,000 Australian dollars, which is just insane. So typically, it's kind of like a status symbol or an investment in that sense. So when we originally stayed at the XIV Hotel in our first trip, at the XIV Hotel in Toba on my first travel diary series, that was back when my father-in-law was working, and the company that he worked at themselves actually earned a membership, so they allowed him to use it. We weren't sure that we were going to be able to stay at an XIV hotel ever again, and we kind of made our peace with that. But it turned out his friend also owns a membership, and he allowed him to use that so we could book a stay again at this XIV hotel, which, as I said, we are very lucky to get that experience, and so I'm really excited to show this place off because it was absolutely incredible. I've never really stayed in a hotel that looks this classy. As I said, and as you can see, it looks very much like something out of a fairy tale, like Alice in Wonderland or something like that. To be honest, the whole time that we were here, I was just so amazed. I took so much footage when we were just walking around in the lobby because it was just really incredible. I really don't feel like these videos do it justice, to be perfectly honest. I pretty much didn't put the camera down the whole way to our room. And when you look out the window and you see the other XIV buildings in the distance, they almost look like faraway castles. Our hotel room was just as amazing. And as you're about to see, the room that we stayed in was absolutely amazing. Definitely not your typical hotel room that you would have when you come to Japan. And I could immediately tell why they called this the Grand XIV Hotel. It definitely felt very high class in here, and the bedrooms were just huge and very fancy. So the bedroom here, this is where my wife's parents stayed. We gave them this room because personally, I really wanted to sleep in the other room, which when you see it, I'm pretty sure you would agree. So this here is the bathroom that we had, which again was just insanely big, like way bigger than you would ever need a bathroom to be. As you can see, it's a spa bath, so it had all the bubbles, the LED lights, and there's a TV, everything. Just amazing. And it wouldn't be complete without a bidet toilet. Gotta have that. So this here is the second bedroom. So it actually doubles as a sitting room. So it's kind of your more traditional kotatsu Japanese room. The lighting in here was just really soft and warm. It was really, really nice. I can't explain why, but these tatami mats in these Japanese rooms, they always just scream comfort to me. I really enjoy them. So when I saw this little room, I knew that I was gonna want to sleep in here. Out on the balcony, there was this amazing view as you can see here, with just all the trees and the mountains. I kind of wish we came a little bit further into the year because we were kind of on the verge of autumn rolling in. So if we had have come maybe just a few weeks later, these trees would all just be yellows, browns and reds, and it would have looked absolutely incredible. Now, one thing I did forget to do is film the tatami room with our beds set up. So they were like the traditional Japanese futon style beds. But one thing I did film is the lights all on in here because I really like these warm lamps and the way the lights kind of light up behind the walls in this room. It was just really relaxing. So after we finished looking around in the hotel room and resting up for a little bit, we headed back down to the car to head out for dinner. So for dinner, we headed down to this nearby restaurant called Toretate Shokudo, and this place was really amazing. There was kind of like this little cat cafe kind of right next door, and I think they were closed at the time, I'm not really sure, but they were kind of feeding the cats when we got there, and there was so many of them in there. One of them in particular was just so fat as well. It was really cute. It definitely looked like a really cat-friendly, cozy place in there. You could see them all sort of running around on these little cat runs, and I really wanted to go in there, and I think we sat here kind of just watching them for a good maybe 10 to 15 minutes before we headed in to have dinner. And on the window they actually had these little cartoon pictures of all of the cats in there and kind of a little bit of information about them, like their age and weight. So after we dragged ourselves away from the cats, we headed into the restaurant. I knew that I was going to be getting this one right here as soon as I saw that picture. So this was my meal that I ended up getting. So after dinner, we just ended up heading back to the hotel for the night. Now, before we headed up to our room though, we did decide to have a little bit of a rest in the lobby because they do have like complimentary coffee and juice and some sweets down there. And I really wish I knew what these sweets were because they had like these matcha candy and they were so good. I'm normally not much of a sweets person, but these matcha candy were really good because they kind of had like this bitter-sweet balance. Honestly, I could have sat in this lobby forever. The decor in here was just absolutely incredible. It, as I mentioned before, it was really like something out of a fairy tale. I've never stayed in such a high-class hotel like this before, and yeah, I just feel incredibly lucky that I got this experience because I feel like it's not something that most foreigners get the chance to experience. I mean, I don't know many people that would be able to afford a $200,000+ membership to be able to book a stay at a hotel like this. And one of my lights just died. Well, that's unfortunate. So things are going to be a little bit darker. Might have to move this light a wee bit closer. I forgot that I had a backup light. So where was I? Right, so I was going to keep this portion of the travel diary series for this road trip to just being one day at a time. But I figured for the following morning, because we were still at the XIV Hotel, I would show off a little bit more about what we actually did. So we started our morning with this absolutely incredible view outside the balcony before we headed downstairs to have breakfast at the Grand XIV Hotel in Naruto.
ありがとうございます。
We ate breakfast in this private room that had the most beautiful view of the XIV Hotel grounds. The room itself also had a very premium kind of vibe to it. For breakfast, we had probably my favorite kind of breakfast you can have in Japan, which are these really traditional set meals. And the quality of the food was obviously just as incredible as the XIV Hotel itself. Everything here just felt very premium, if that makes sense. It's definitely a once-in-a-lifetime experience, which is one that I've actually been lucky enough to have on 3 separate occasions. Anyways, that pretty much does it for this first leg of our road trip for this portion of our travels. Now it is starting to get pretty dark here, so I'm gonna call this video quits for tonight. And yeah, I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you look forward to the next day of our road trip portion of our travels. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.